Old season is over. It's time for something new. It's time for change. It's time for new battles. It's time for new champions. It's time for Season 3. Welcome to HSR Motorsport.
Parked up outside in the old school. The new me back in the new. The dog always finds his way back home and it's so.
Hello and welcome to the HSR Motorsport GT3 Season 3 Championship. Today, you join us for round 1 here at Valencia. This is going to be round 1 of 8, our new championship. Today, we're here at Valencia, a 4-kilometre long track, 2.5 miles of tarmac. It's got 14 corners, 9 left-handers and 5 right-handers. Now this track is classed as technical, however, it does have some big corners. So if you can get it right, you're going to have some good overtaking opportunities mid-corner. So, as you can see, we've got a new format now for our HUD. Quite interesting, I've been working on it. I would have wanted to say all week, but unfortunately, the way things work out, it only happened Wednesday evening. And I was even up last night till about midnight trying to sort some stuff out with this HUD, given issues and OBS Studio. So I do ask for your forgiveness if I turn out to be a bit, I don't know, a bit sluggish, a bit slow on the reaction speed, a little mumbly, because I'm running on 5 hours of sleep and 10 hours of work. So as you can imagine, I'm already messing up there. As you can imagine, I need a bit of sleep after this. So we're currently following Mark Jackson, one of our AM drivers, sporting a new livery. Last season he had an overall green themed livery, and so it's nice to see him branching out into a couple more colours this time. Still fairly futuristic look to it though. Last time he was all kind of galaxy green feel to it, and today it's still futuristic but also looking to be a lovely livery. As you can tell, the track temperature is quite high, 28 degrees Celsius, and the actual track temperature is 35 degrees. So it is quite hot out in Spain at the moment. It is starting to turn into summer IRL in real life as well. So really it shouldn't be too much of a surprise if it's that way in game 2. And I just realised I hadn't unmuted the car sounds. So if you do give me just a second. So, I've got all my little bits and bobs finally set up now. Do apologise for the delay. Let's talk about this new season, shall we? Of course, GT3 racing is nothing new. However, we are doing a couple new things this season compared to last season. First off, as I've mentioned a little earlier, we've got 8 rounds on this championship instead of 6. 2 extra rounds being added in order to spice up some of the actual race kind of format, if you will, as well. 2 races where instead of having 1-hour races, we'll have 2 30-minute races within that same weekend. Again, just spicing things up a little. We've also got new tracks, as always. I don't think we're revisiting any tracks actually this season from the couple last series, and I am quite excited for this season, I'm not gonna lie. The last 2 have been action packed. They have been absolutely spectacular, especially last season as the action was ramping up right from the start until it hit an epic climax at Alton Park, where we were standing absolutely soaked in the rain. Another change from last season is, of course, new drivers and old drivers alike joining us. But to be honest, I was actually surprised at how many of the top names didn't choose to compete again this season. Felix Eck is not on the list anymore. He won the Pro-Am class. Mikael Topinka, our Pro Class king, if you will, he's also not signed up to race in Season 3 again. And then finally, I could not get a hold of Pfeiffer because he is not in the Discord server. However, I'm sure he will be wanting to join us at some point. So, couple new names. Livanios, currently P1 in the Aston Martin. Patrick, we've seen Verbrew previously. Morris, Jackson, Hosco, Rave. Huben is a new one, as well as Warburton. Not sure whether that's meant to be a troll or not. Schubert, Matthews, Murray, Bastow, Smith. We've also got Mukard and Booty and Turner. Now, a couple of these guys are coming from some servers that we are collaborating with to bring you a GT4 season championship. That's been running for the last 3 weeks, and it's actually our first time running that championship, and I think it has been going fairly well. I'm actually participating in that championship myself, and the action has been absolutely incredible. The championship rivalries, absolutely amazing from the get-go. We still do have a couple spots open on the GT4 Championship. Obviously, it's not as well known as our GT3 Championships. No one really races GT4 when there's a GT3 or a GT2 to be driven. But if you find yourself with nothing to do on Wednesday evening, 7 PM British summertime, that's BST, then do join us. We still have a couple spots open, I think in silver and bronze, maybe pro. All I remember is last race, the bronze drivers turned out in force. So it was quite an eventful last race at Alton Park. No, sorry, it was Donington Park. You can tell I'm getting a bit mixed up because ironically, this season for the GT4 Championship, we're going to be revisiting tons and tons of British tracks. We've got Brands Hatch in there, Alton Park, Snetterton, Donington Park. We've got all those British greats in there. But today, you join me for the GT3 Championship, where we're in Valencia, Spain at the moment. Now, I know I've been talking a little bit about the format, so let me explain that to its full extent. We're currently covering 1 hour of practice. That will then be followed by 20 minutes of qualifying and then 1 hour of racing. Now, a little note on the racing part. That is going to be, well, that is going to require, a mandatory pit stop, which is required for refueling, and tyres are optional though. I think that's the one thing that's changed slightly from last season. I'm not sure whether it was officially that, or whether it was it was frowned upon if you don't change your tyres. I can't remember, but all that I know is this season refueling is mandatory, tyres are optional. No pit window means that strategy can vary a lot between these drivers. Only thing I think that would really, just let them have them free reign over strategy is if the obvious first one is to get rid of the mandatory pit stop, make that an optional. But I guess the first step would be to get rid of the fixed refueling time. That's the thing our drivers have in place. It's a fixed time. So no matter how much fuel you put in, you're going to have exactly the same amount of time in pits as someone who's put in maybe a full tank and you've put in an empty tank. That's going to be exactly the same time. Now, if you add tyres into the mix, if you're going to change your tyres, then that adds an extra 5 seconds to the entire thing as well. .46 minutes remaining in practice while I've been babbling. Drivers have been setting laps. We currently have, let me just get this right, we currently have 19 drivers setting a lap, 28 drivers in the lobby. So quite a full lobby, but not the completely full lobby. I think we should actually keep a score of how many drivers we get in the lobby for the races this season, so we can kind of have a little tally, a little, I wouldn't say competition, but sort of, like a high score kind of thing. So for example, if we only had 28 drivers this time, and then let's say 35 drivers next week, and say, oh, we beat the high score for the amount of drivers that joined us today. Because believe it or not, even though all the slots are taken on SimGrid, not everyone can make it to every single race. So I think it would be quite a accomplishment if we managed to get every single driver in for every single, well, I wouldn't say every single race, but just having all the drivers in, all 50 of them in the same race would be absolutely incredible. It would definitely make my job very interesting, and I'm sure for you guys, very entertaining. Now, as usual, similar to last season, we've got a couple interviews lined up, so that will be something to look forward to. As you can tell from the start of the stream, we're working a little bit on the professionalism side of things. We're trying to get a couple more transitions in, more branding. From the start, you can see we've got ifwl.net on the starting screen. We've also got Abruzzi. So Abruzzi we're officially affiliated with. and we are collabing with ifwl.net on a couple races, including that GT4 championship I was telling you guys about a little earlier. Now another collaboration, if you will, that is coming up sometime in July is a endurance race which is being collaborated between ERA, as I call them, and DSRG, I think. I don't have the poster in front of me right now, but 13th July, note that down. It's a Saturday where we'll be having an endurance race with these two other communities, and we're hoping for a big turnout. So if you're interested and you're not doing anything on the 13th of July, feel free to set up your sim, get a couple friends, and do a sim race with us, ERA and DSRG. Now let's have a look at the track, shall we? Let's have a little onboard action from some of the drivers. Let's go on board with Jim Fox now, as he comes around the final corner, dips his wheel into the gravel. So, starting straight. I'm sure this is going to be quite a pillar for anyone setting up any overtakes into the first corner. High speed left-hander, turn 1, known as Curva Spar, down into a long left-hander, Curva Duhan, turn 2, and a little left-hand kick, turn 3, followed by two right-handers, turns 4 and 5. Then it's into the left-hander of Curvia Nieto. I do apologise if I butcher the pronunciation on these. You'll laugh at me a little later on as well. Kink, turn 7, Curva Fusion. That sounds more French than Spanish. Turn 8, long left-hander. Another left-hander coming up, turn 9. Quite fast, kind of a kink into double right-hander, 10 and 11. Before hitting final couple corners. Fast right-hander, turn 12, long left-hander, turn 13, and then final corner, turn 14. We can cut a little more curb than the others. If you get it right, you're going to have an amazing run. If not, then yeah, you're kind of a bit stuffed if someone's looking to make a move on you by the end of the straight. We have a request to see Hubin. So let us quickly have a check on how he is doing. Hubin is currently P16, driving a Nissan. And I have to say, one of my favourite pastimes being looking at liveries. Every race we have a couple new ones that just look absolutely fantastic, and this is one of them. Light blue, some orange and dark blue. I'm not sure whether, is that dark blue? Can't quite tell. The sun's shining on the screen so I can't quite see it 100%. But that is a very nice livery, I'm not going to lie. Similar to the Aston Martin that just went by, actually. It never ceases to amaze me, the creativity these drivers have when working on their livery. And Hubin back into the pits. Yeah, unfortunately, sorry, Gasmanian Devil, unfortunately, we did not see him for long before he decided to hit the pits. Let's follow Verbrew for a moment, though. couple things about Verbrew last season. He was the scene, I wouldn't say the scene, sorry, he was the catalyst for a very chaotic round 5 race at Bathurst Mount Panorama, and he was right in the middle of one of the big crashes we had during the race. It was inevitable at some point, but we were all expecting it to happen lap 1 right at the start when everyone's bunched up, right? But instead the drivers went lap 2 and then did it. So it was kind of, it wasn't, I'm not sure whether it would classify as unexpected, but we weren't quite sure about the timing on it. He was running exactly the same livery. So I was like, good old Verbrew. Of course, for me as a commentator and for you guys, as we get to see these guys in action and we get to know them better across the course of the championship, we get to recognise their liveries, and it just makes it a little easier for us to pick up, oh, you know, we don't have to look in the bottom right of the screen where the name is to pick up who this is. And usually you can pick up who it is at the end of the season. So for example, as we were saying right at the start, Jackson is usually running a nice green livery on his Ferrari 296. Verbrew running his green and lime and black accented McLaren as usual. But one driver that usually changes a livery almost every single race is either Jim Fox or John Mallett. Those two work quite closely together when it comes to the livery side of things as well. So to be honest, it shouldn't be any surprise that that happens. Speaking of, there's Jackson pulling over to the side. 36 minutes left in practice. And I'm not sure whether the race is being restarted now. The server's being restarted maybe due to some technical errors. So if you know what's going on in chat, and I'm still live as I'm speaking, then let me know. Let me know whether the race, or sorry, the whole weekend is being redone. Otherwise, it's probably just me. But we'll be back in just a second if it's being restarted, and we'll see you all in one moment. And we are back. Yes, it does seem to be a simple server reset, which is quite fortunate. It means my connection isn't rubbish, at least. Now I'm joined by Craig Hewlett up here in the commentary box. Welcome, Craig. Oh, 1 second. I believe you're coming through on the wrong speaker. Give me just one moment, sorry. Sorry, could you try speaking again?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we got it. There we go. Oh, thank goodness. Let's stop there for a second.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has, it has. It's nice to get back into the swing of things and, of course, have the usual teething problems along the way. Cool.
How are you? All good?
Yes, I'm doing well. I've got a couple questions for you. We'll start with a slightly lighter one. Now, you're the founder of HSR Motorsport, the server. What does HSR stand for, and what was the inspiration behind that?
It was mainly racing with a few of us beforehand. What was this last year now? And just trying to obviously get numbers for comfortable racing, more friendly racing, stuff like that, compared to, as a lot of people would know, on LFM and things like that. Public servers doesn't always tend to go very well, shall we say. So a few of us started to get together. We had a Discord that we were part of before this, and then it sort of all started going a bit slower. People not wanting to be involved and help out, so I decided to go out on my own and start it myself. Oh. And then had the help from obviously fellow racer Rafe as well, who ran his own Discord beforehand. And then that created what is now HSR Motorsport. And I'd just also like to point out, after only being going for a couple months, we are nearly at 500 members already.
I know, I was checking that out earlier. 476 is the precise number at the moment. It's incredible.
Absolutely flying.
Cannot believe how quickly that has been expanding, really. And our GT4 series isn't doing too badly either.
No, absolutely not. The GT4 series, to be fair, I didn't think it would do well, I won't lie. But Foxy was very adamant he wanted to do it, so, the guy even put up £100 of his own money as a cash prize. So,
wow, that's dedication to the server right there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's worked very well, We've got over 40-odd drivers in there, and every race it's been absolutely ecstatic, to be honest.
It has. I've been down there as well, and, it's just been brilliant being able to race with you guys and see the other communities get involved as well. IFWL, of course, Open Lobby Racing, all those other communities also benefiting from these kind of small partnerships.
Yeah, definitely. The IFWL partnership has gone very well, to be honest. Obviously, they were coming over from Forza Motorsport mainly, and then obviously getting into ACC a bit more. And with the partnership, obviously, both of us representing each other, whether it be posters, races, etc. I was talking to the owner not long ago from IFWL, and he already gained, I think it was between 100 to 200 members just from partnering with us.
Wow.
And likewise, we've obviously gained quite a few since then as well. So it has gone very well.
That is awesome, and I'm sure we'll be looking at other partnerships in the future with maybe some bigger servers once we kind of reach their level. Maybe stuff like Era or own it?
Yes, so absolutely. I mean, at the minute, we do have a joint sort of endurance that is being created between ourselves, ERA, and DGSR, which is Tactical Sim Racing. So combined with us three at the moment, with the endurance race we're planning, is nearly 3,000 members, I believe.
Wow, that is
So it's,
incredible.
yeah, that gives us a bit of strength in the sim racing world doing stuff like this. So it's very
Absolutely.
nice to see.
Wow. Cool. So that was kind of a little overview, kind of a little more fun question. Now we get into the actual championship. Last season you had great pace and expectations, and ironically, the one race where you had the greatest expectations of a race win against a Pinker, or at least beating him, actually ironically turned out to be your worst race yet. What are your goals and expectations
Yeah,
for this season?
yeah, I had to bring it up again.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, so yeah, last season, obviously, as you know yourself, like I say, the pace was there, but just some very bad luck every single race, unfortunately, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, yeah,
This season, obviously, expecting a lot better things, you know. Especially like, for instance, today, this is definitely a track that I do like myself, so I'm expecting very good things. And looking when we had just a small assessment race last week, the pace in pros,
yeah,
it
yeah,
seems like pretty much everyone is pretty close. Nobody, you know, Topinka, absolutely amazing sim race that we had last season.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you could tell, you know, he was next level. He was absolute alien pace. Whereas here, this season, it's going to be a lot closer. I think there's going to be some very good battles here, especially in my split, for instance. It's going to be some good battling, and I'm coming for the podium tops this season. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely. And I guess, well, usually when I ask the question of what are your expectations, or what are your goals, sorry, for this season, everyone's goal is obvious: win the race. So in essence, then
Yeah.
it's just down to the drivers' kind of perspective on it, how good they think they are, etc., etc.
Absolutely. This season for me, I mean, it's to win the race, but this season for me is to basically prove a point that last season was just a bad season,
Yeah,
and I'm back.
yeah. Good, good. Now, the first track that pops into my mind when I think Spanish Grand Prix or Spanish races is Barcelona. Valencia is not that well known. How familiar and comfortable are you racing at this circuit?
So I absolutely love this track. I will not lie. I've got a lot of hours on this track.
Oh,
I've raced it a lot in LFM pit skill endurance races. Just well, I know BOP changes obviously a lot of the times, but when I was racing it a couple of weeks ago, my race pace was around a 130.8 with race fuel. So
oh,
yeah,
interesting.
so at the minute, the fast track's definitely affected it. I mean, I'm sitting pretty much the same time at the moment as Patrick currently is. That's been my pace at the minute. But once we get to optimum, you should see definitely a different change in pace. But it is a warm day, so
It is absolutely.
you know it's definitely not helping at the minute. That's for sure. There's a lot less grip with it being so hot. The tyres are getting warm. But I'm expecting good things. I'm expecting very good things at this track. I do like it. It's one of my favourites. So
I'm also looking forward to it. The racing action has been absolutely incredible last season, so I'm sure this season it's going to be, I don't want to say no different, because then people take it too literally, but the same amount of action, if you will, as last season.
absolutely. I mean, looking at the splits as well from the assessment race, all splits, they were quite competitive. So I think it's going to be a very, very entertaining season, to be honest. And there's a bit of a mix-up if you haven't looked, obviously, throughout the events this season. So if you haven't looked, have a look. You'll see some things are different this season between races. So
Yeah, I've picked up
should make
the,
things
is
mix
it,
things up a little bit.
yeah, I guess it's those two extra rounds that you've added to the season that are two 30-minute races instead of the one 60-minute.
That's correct. Yeah. So hopefully that should mix things up a bit in the standings as well. If somebody has a bad race in one race, they can always make it up in the second race. So should make things very interesting. Hopefully.
Absolutely, and I look forward to commentating on them. Unfortunately, I can only make one of them, but when I do, I'm going to be looking forward to it. Absolutely.
No, absolutely. Like I say, you're a busy man. We know obviously you did very well last season. You were there throughout the entire thing. So very much looking forward to having you back this season as well.
Yeah, I enjoy it immensely. Cool. Thanks for popping up. I won't keep you any longer. We've got another interview due pretty much now, so I'll let you get back to racing. Good luck.
No problem at all. Thank you for having me and enjoy your evening.
You too. So that was Craig Hewlett. As we said, one of our pro drivers who had an unfortunate season, was peppered by mishaps and just unfortunate circumstances, really. He's currently out in pit with no laps set, but as we heard, he's quite comfortable with the circuit and looking to challenge the top pro driver at the moment, Patrick, who has set a 1:31.5. As we heard, his best is something in the 130s range with about 80 litres of fuel, which for those of you who are maybe new or not familiar with sim racing as much, that's quite slightly heavier than the average kind of halfway fuel mark, if you will. Drivers put in enough fuel to get to the halfway mark and then go usually to around 120 litres for an hour of racing. So going 80 litres, yeah, that's very decent, considering that's faster than Patrick. We don't know if Patrick's currently doing quali pace or whether he's just doing race pace, or whether he's just warming up the tyres, getting used to the setup, getting used to the track, getting used to the combo. For a lot of these drivers, sometimes they just don't have the time to practice during the week. So what they do is they turn up during practice and all they have is 1 hour to get used to the conditions, the car, the track, etc. Now, one thing that is quite advantageous about that, though, is you don't learn the track at its optimum. You learn it in those conditions. Let's say, for example, the other week we had Silverstone as our second race in the GT4 Championship. Drivers all across the server were practicing under optimum conditions, dry, perfect temperatures, so their tyres were getting up to heat properly, they had enough grip, all those factors. And then race day came along and it was sopping wet. So it's all about how you practice, and for these guys joining, if they can learn quickly and get up to speed within a reasonable time, by the end of that hour they're going to be all set. Now, we do have practice servers that we use here at HSR, so for those drivers who practice in single player, go check out the HSR Motorsport Discord server for info about the practice servers. They definitely help out a ton. Currently following Kurt Peters, one of our new drivers to the championship. He's currently second with a 1:31.8, and he is a Pro-Am driver, which will make it very interesting indeed. It's always interesting to see how some of these lower class drivers get caught up in the races of these higher class drivers, and sometimes they manage to keep pace depending on the track, depending on the car, and sometimes they don't and they just end up getting in the way. It just happens to be a good lap. So we'll see how that all pans out across this weekend. Now I'm joined in the commentary box by Ruben Worth, one of our AM drivers. Welcome to the commentary box, Ruben.
Hello, hello.
Cool. So, in the server, you're known as kind of the media / editor kind of side for the server. How'd you get into it?
I mean, I've started creating like editing stuff and all kind of things about 2 years ago. I wasn't really good at it, like honestly. And recently I've been like more into it. I've been making what I can do, honestly.
Yeah.
It's not really something that special, but I tried at least.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some of those videos, and I was contributed to a couple of them, and just the amount of effort that you put into it is just incredible. So I think your content's brilliant. So
Appreciate it.
Just want to know, also another fun question, what's your favorite part in the entire editing process?
I would say like I really love the part of matching the song beats with transition and stuff like that. So for me it looks kind of clean, like more of a clean edit. If I explain myself.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. I'm also kind of a little bit into it, but haven't done it in a while actually.
Yeah, I love it.
I could relate, because even when I'm doing like the highlights and stuff, I'm always, this is my favorite part of it, and then, it could literally just be simple stuff like cutting and pasting stuff. So yeah, it kind of varies from person to person. So talking a little bit about the championship now, you joined late last season and you only managed to start 2 races. What are your expectations and goals for this season?
The last season, like starting from there, I think it was like almost the last race. My performance wasn't really that good, but honestly, I'm looking forward of making much better progress on this one.
Absolutely, because you'll be in for every round pretty much, unless you're dropping a couple. Unfortunately, are you? Are you gonna stay, or do you have a couple rounds you need to drop?
Like, you mean if I'm gonna stay the whole season?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, brilliant! So we might actually have a shot at a couple podiums this season. Do you think?
I will try my best. I'm not gonna promise anything, but I'll try.
Absolutely. Now, this round 1 here at Valencia, does it classify as a home race? I mean, you being born in Spain but living in the Canary Islands, would you kind of classify it as a home race, and is there significance to that?
I mean, I guess it depends on the person you ask it to. I would say it kinda is. Like, I was born literally in Spain, but I don't live right now there. But in summer, I will, definitely. So I would say it's a home race, even though my rear tires cry every time I get on track. So yeah, I will try to do my best on this race.
Yeah. And I mean, have you spent much time on this track? Are you comfortable with the circuit and the car?
Yeah, I've been practicing like around 5 hours, 6 hours, not that much, but we have this GT4 championship too.
Yeah.
So I've been like around 7 hours something on this track for now.
Oh, nice.
But I would say I'm really confident on my car and all that stuff.
Oh, cool. So you're looking at a fairly decent result today then?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us. I won't hold you for much longer. You've only got 15 minutes left in practice. Best of luck, sir.
Thank you, brother.
As we heard, Ruben Worth also competing in the GT4 Championship. He's the only Camaro in the entire series, and it is an absolute joy to hear him roaring by as you sit in the pits working on your setup. Now, while we've been chatting with Hewlett and Worth, we now have 39 drivers here on track today, with 13 minutes left in practice, I believe. Don't believe the timer on the top of your screen because of the server restart. I believe they'll just cut it short. Ooh, And oh, that looked I'm always lost for words when something happens unexpectedly, and it happens unexpectedly. I'm at a bit of a loss for words. I kind of want to keep the tempo a bit low during practice, but that did seem like a Porsche going off in the background. And currently, one of the only Porsches on track is Ty, Bestow, and Elkins. Now, Elkins is another new driver here at HSR, and he's running a lovely livery, in my opinion. It's giving me hints of the kind of official Porsche team's 911 GT3 in terms of the red, the black, the white, but he's kind of maybe put a little spin in it. You can see the satin finish on the front, a darker shade of red. It'll be quite interesting to see how that thing looks out on track battling these other cars. Now, due to the server restart, some drivers have put in some laps and some drivers haven't, but we do have 32 cars having set a time now. Christoph pulling up the rear with a 137.8, and right at the top we have Peters in the Pro-Am class setting a 131.450. He has, however, set only one lap. Let's actually see if we can go on board. Actually, he's just been displaced by Hewlett, who's at a 131.2. So the lap times continue to tumble, and you can see on the top right hand side of your screen it says that the track is now at optimum conditions. This means that grip levels will be at its maximum and drivers will be pushing for lap times now. Now, for the last 10 minutes of practice, I'd like to explore the grid and see what liveries we have out here today. So the first one is going to be Patrick in a white and blue Mustang. Simple enough design, very simple in fact, but sometimes simpler is better, and in this case it looks fantastic, the colour matching. And to be honest, those double stripes, I wouldn't say it's iconic, but it's definitely not an uncommon look on a Mustang. Then behind Patrick on the leaderboard is Levanos in a Aston Martin. Looks like he's just running a simple all green livery with a little bit of detail on the rear wing. Let's see if we can actually have a look at what's going on that rear wing. Sparko Gaming, not sure whether that's in-game generated or whether that's put on as part of the livery. As you can tell, livery making is not my genre, but I do just love looking at these cars and just looking at the fancy colours and stuff. I'm a simple human being. Simple joys. Next up we've got Jordan in another Mustang. He's currently sporting a yellow and blue livery. It's giving me vibes of the Napa BTCC Ford Focus cars used today. And you can see when someone's put all the effort in. Sorry, the camera's shaking a little too much, I'd say. Here he is. We finally get a drive-by. It's white, yellow on the front, and on the back It's a lovely blue. Those two colours complement each other so well, even though they seem to be fairly opposite each other, I think, on the colour scale? Is that what you call it? I do apologise if I sound a little unsure. As I said, I'm a bit tired as well. Plus, I haven't been doing this for 3 weeks now. You can see all the effort he's put in there. It's got a little bit of logo stuff on the side. And all colour-coded. There's the brew sitting across the track. Almost taking out the Mustang behind. Next up, P7 is Morris in his usual Ferrari 296. And he looks to be running an identical livery to last season. Red, black and white. Fairly standard livery. I'm going to skip over Chard, because we all know Chard only uses black liveries. Seen Verbrew. Let's have a quick look at Schubert, one of our new drivers to the season. He's currently running Ferrari 296, car number 61. And that is quite a lovely blue livery. It's kind of light blue and a darker navy blue. A little bit of branding, Noobs Are Us. Is that what it said? It was just in passing when I noticed it. Yeah, Noobs Are Us, there we go, on the rear of his car. A couple other branding details on there, brilliant stuff. We've now got Turner as well. Another new driver, and you can see in the actual name, Liam Turner IFWL, International Friendly Weekend League. I believe if I've said that right. He's currently running a McLaren. And he's not out on track at the moment. We've seen Booty a little earlier with a black and yellow livery. I might have to speed this up actually, only 5 minutes left in practice if things are running according to the schedule. And then proceeds not to do anything. We've got Hosco now out on track, a white Ferrari. Last season he was sporting some red with some yellow highlights. It'll be interesting to see how much his livery evolves over the course of the season. Rodriguez in a black McLaren, potentially forgot to sync before practice started. We've got Van Onnaker in a Ferrari now, another new addition. And that looks very similar to the livery we saw a bit earlier. I don't remember who that was. I believe it was Schubert was the blue livery. We shall see as we continue. Warburton and Aston Martin having gone off track somewhere. Let me check. Looked like turn 2. It is a bit tricky to try and go through these liveries during practice because everyone's jumping in and out of pits. We do only have 4 minutes left of practice, so we'll see who we can catch. Here's Taylor in a yellow and red McLaren. And all this time, I haven't even talked about the timings. Apologies. Pro class at the top now. Our top 3 is Hewlett, Patrick and Dutton. And they are separated by 6/10 between the 3 of them. Between first and third in the Pro Class Championship. Then it's Lavanios, Peters and Jordan for our Pro-Am class. Apologies. And then for our Am class, it's Schubert, followed by Warburton, followed by Matthews, and the gap there is a little bit larger, which can be expected in the lower categories. I'm sure once qualifying gets started and the race gets started, those drivers who are maybe a bit late to the practice session will be upping the pace. We now have 40 drivers in the lobby, so that's kind of our baseline score. We've only got 3 minutes left to get some other drivers in. So if we can get a couple more in before quali starts, that would be absolutely fantastic. Well, there's a blue and red Ferrari there. That's giving me 959 vibes-ish, I think. I can never quite make my mind up about blue and red being on the same car unless they're of a certain shade and a certain kind. Let's actually have a look on the rear wing. Now we do actually have a ton of that sounded really weird. We have plenty of incidents shown during practice, which is quite interesting. Usually the incidents are at a minimum during practice. So let's see if we can have a quick look at what happened. This is between car 33 and 266, a Pro and a Pro-Am. Let's see if we can have a look at what happened. So this is now coming down the straight, and they touch. Not sure what I think about that. That seemed a very... As a pro driver, yeah. When I make weird noises, you know I'm unsure and I'm kind of at a loss for words. That was quite an odd exchange, I would say. We've got 2 more incidents with... Oh, actually, I just scrolled up the rest of the list. Sorry. I was going to say we only have 2 more incidents, but we actually have 5 incidents with other Pro Class drivers. There seems to be a common one between car 80 and some other drivers. Car 80 being Jim Fox. And the funny thing is... Last time we left you guys for the GT3 Championship, GT3 Season 2, Round 6, we were at a wet Alton Park and Jim Fox was involved in some highly appalling incidents. And so I do not hope it has become a pattern now. As you can see, qualifying has just about started. So now we'll be on the ball with our timings.
possibility, but you know, with Rui always we fight until the end, and yeah, it will be a special weekend one more time, and like you know, we can fight for all the championship. We still on the battle, so it will be really tough, like all the competition and every racing.
Now you rejoin us for the start of the race. Qualifying having just ended with some very interesting laps being set charred in the last couple moments of qualifying. Very much the last driver to cross that line and taking a surprising P3 finish. He'll be starting on the second row. And looking a bit further back, we've got in the AM class Manchip setting a good time. He's currently P4. And it's Worth that takes P3 in the AM class. Looking even further back, some of the newer drivers maybe either didn't manage to set a time or just had a horrible time during qualifying. We've got Christoph, Murray, Mallet, Pullard, Duval. Those 5 drivers at the rear bringing up the AM class. It'll be interesting to see how their race start goes. But right at the front is Morris now, currently P1 for the Pro class. It's Morris, then Hewlett, then Shard for our top 3 Pro drivers, followed by Peters, Verbrew and Jackson for the Pro AM class. AM class is going to be Schubert, Warburton and Worth. Some familiar names and some unfamiliar names. Some in an order that we might recognize and some in an order that we don't. Unfortunately, none of our drivers forgot to start their engines before the timer ended. So no one starts from the pit, fortunately. It's all ready to go here at Valencia. Obviously, a man to watch out for, both in a good sense and in a bad sense, is going to be Jim Fox in the McLaren. He's building up a reputation that I don't think is going to be too positive. So hopefully he manages to fix that throughout today's race with some good racing action. Of course, some of the newer drivers like Warburton, he's going to be another driver to watch. He's currently P2 for his class. Also a very new driver to the series. So we get to see him get some laps in and potentially be one of our new pole, sorry, not pole sitters, one of our podium finishers. course, is going to be Pfeiffer, our last season's winner. But currently P29 overall. So maybe struggling a little bit. And this is then Morris, 2 Ferraris right at the front. Good luck to all the drivers out on track today. Mucha suerte a todos nuestros conductores en la pista aquí en Valencia. Coming down the final section now. The final sector is going to be 1 right-hander and then 2 left-handers before the racing action gets underway. The tension is mounting. Been waiting for this for 3 weeks now. We left off with an action festival at Alton Park, and we want another one here at Valencia today. Cars forming up, getting into their positions before the flag waves, before the lights go green. The track is buzzing with the hum of these huge engines. And the green flag waves at Valencia. You can see it's going to be Morris defending from Hewlett. There's contact between Hewlett and the front runners coming into turn 1, and Hewlett makes an epic start. He's already up into P1 right from the get-go. He's managed to slip through between those drivers. Morris at the front. Oh, and there's huge repercussions right at the back. Drivers all over the place. That's Mallet currently out on track. He's running a gold livery, and he seems to have managed to crash into a load of guys. We'll have a look at that a little bit later on. In terms of gaps though, it just keeps changing. We've got some action here midfield. We're currently following Jordan. He's making a move on Fox. He's having a look. The nose is still there. There's a little bit of rubbing. You can see also Turner having to defend from Schubert. Schubert going down the inside into the little kink, and Schubert is up a position. And the race start chaos continues. Fox got by Turner as we were speaking, and Turner seems to be losing out positions. He's dropping down the order very quickly. There's another driver sailing round the outside. That's going to be the Ford of Jordan. A chaotic first lap then at the back of the pack. Closest battle now is going to be between Dutton and the Ferrari behind, the Lexus and the Ferrari. Oh, and the Lexus goes wide. He's a little twitchy. This is Bootie's chance now into turn 2. He keeps that inside line, and there's even more contact. They rub slightly, and that's Bootie up into, I believe that is 9th place. The leaderboards are going a bit weird. Fox is looking racy behind Dutton as well. See Fox and Schubert just waiting to make a move on Dutton. He's been dropping slightly down the pack. He was the topic of conversation during qualifying, but during the race he seems to be struggling to keep up the pace, or getting up to pace in the first place. Fox is looking to make a move at some point. Is it going to be into the final turn or into turn 1? We shall have to see. Dutton has already made a mistake coming into turn 1. And Schubert has managed to slip by both Dutton and Booty. Impressive moves from no, sorry, that is Jackson ahead. Apologies. The liveries are getting me confused. And that's Fox slightly out of shape. coming into turn 1. No one's close enough to make any moves yet. Further back down the field though, there's action going on between Levanos and Turner, and Mouchard in the Ferrari. Unless that is a back marker. Sorry, that is Hosco just behind Turner, and then Mouchard ahead. And so the racing chaos dies down just a tad, dials down a little bit. You can see that McLaren ahead is still very much under pressure. Small mistake can be punished quite heavily here if you're not careful by the looks of things. Looks like Manchip is now closing on Hosco. So Hosco's a point of interest at the moment. He wants to make a move on Turner at some stage during the next couple of laps. He was very close there. He looked a bit racy. Oh, but Turner's gone wide. This is Hosco's chance now. Coming into the final left-hander. Is he going to keep it around the outside? Yes, he is. Coming into the braking zone. Who brakes later? They both brake at around the same time. Hosco's going to be looking for a switchback now. Coming down the main straight. Yes, he's pulling alongside Turner. Does he get ahead before they hit the braking zone for turn 1? Yes, they are. And Hosco then up into 15th. Beautiful move. He got the exit right and just kept it straight for the final braking zone into turn 1. A little further up the pack, there is still action going on between Dutton, Booty, Fox and Schubert. These are currently the 4 closest matched cars. You can see Fox is really sniffing at P8. He is so close now. He's going to be making a move at some point in the near future. Is it going to be a similar scenario to what we saw a little earlier from Hosco? Just getting that last corner right, getting a switchback move, and then using that exit speed to get alongside before they hit turn 1. Oh my goodness, and there's a huge gap to the back now. The Vanyos seems to have gone off. Oh my goodness, no, that's a Ford. That's Jordan. He's had an incident somewhere. He's dropped way down the grid. He was right behind Schubert when all of a sudden there was just nothing. He seems to have spun out. Let's have a look at the contact list. There is contact between car 22 and another driver. Let's have a quick look at that. He's now coming through that left-hander. Oh, and it's the Aston Martin that taps it from behind. And almost completely stationary across the track. That is an unfortunate incident then for Jordan. Meanwhile, Fox has gotten past Dutton, but so has Schubert. Schubert, in fact, has overtaken Fox. While we were having a look at that incident, both drivers managed to make it past that green Lexus, and Booty also seems to have gone ahead. He stayed ahead, sorry. Now, I do hope we do not have... Yes, there is contact between car 80 and 61. Can you believe it? Oh, there's a moment for the green Lexus in the background. A beautiful save. Absolutely amazing work to keep it out of the wall. Exactly where Jordan died. Oh, and this is Fox's chance now. Schubert has gone wide. Fox is going around the outside, coming into the final corner. This looks very familiar, but he gets ahead before they even hit the actual apex. And Dutton in the background is sliding round, adding to the cinematic overtake of Fox getting past Schubert for P9. There's a move from Booty just ahead. I did not click on that. It was a mistake. Booty down the inside of Jackson. This is a pro driver on a pro-am driver coming now into turn 2. They're still side by side, and Booty has to concede the position. So this is maybe another potential for overtake for 7th place on the grid. Looks like Fox just got past Schubert while we're following these two drivers. You can see in the background there, Dutton and Fox having a little battle there. But we are currently following Booty and Jackson. There seems to be a developing battle. Fox is also going to get involved with this. This is what happened before there was a sudden change of positions. Fox was right on the tail of Booty, but Booty's gone wide now, so this brings back Fox. There's Schubert making a move on Dutton in the background. Some beautiful racing going on at the back there. Dutton all slipping and sliding here at Valencia. And this is from the bonnet view of Fox. It's currently 0.4 seconds off of Booty, so he's going to maybe look at doing an overtake into the similar area next lap potentially, unless he can get a drive on him. Booty's gone slightly wide, so he is feeling the pressure. Oh, look at how close he's gotten throughout this section already. They're coming through turns 4, 5 and 6 next, and he is waiting. He's waiting for that opportunity to get by. He's sniffing at that rear bumper. And this is all Booty can see. And this looks like a very familiar position earlier in the race. And I'm sure he does not want to be in this situation again. Oh, Fox taps him. There's contact between Fox and Booty. Oh my goodness. Another incident between car 80 and 28. Cannot believe it after all that hard work. And Fox now has lost out to both Dutton and Schubert ahead. Let's have a quick look at that incident again. Oh, and yeah, he's stuck in a T-bone position, can't do anything. Now, I'm interested to see what actually happened earlier. Seems like there was an earlier incident with exactly the same thing happening. This is then what happened when Fox got past Dutton, I believe. So coming through fast left-hander kink. Oh, similar story. No, sorry, that was exactly the same incident we saw earlier. Apologies, this is going to be the correct one, I promise. When he went wide, Schubert, slidey. Oh, and then just some very close racing, and then Fox goes wide, allowing Schubert and Dutton through. So at the moment, Fox then in P10. Now another interesting battle to watch now is going to be Wraith, Elkins, Janssen and Brum. This is now Wraith trying to get past Janssen. He's currently running a completely black livery. These four are fighting for position. It's a real mix of drivers here now. It's Brucroft right at the front leading the strain, then Brum, then Janssen. So Brum right in the middle. Oh, and Brum loses it slightly. He's maybe braked a little earlier than Janssen expected, and Janssen just had to suddenly make a move down the inside into the final corner. He did well to keep it out of that grey McLaren, and he's having a run down into turn 1 now onto Rucroft, and he's just inching closer. There it is, he's having a look. Rucroft knows he's there. Kept it slightly wide, and you can see the oversteer from Rucroft. Is that a lapse in concentration? Is the pressure getting to him? I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see. Only time will tell. But Janssen seems to be braking consistently later, and he's had a better exit through here. Does he make a move into the inside? No, he doesn't. He plays it patient and stays around the outside. Does he get a better run on the exit though? There it is, down the kink into the inside. Fantastic move from the Mustang on the McLaren. That's Janssen up into 23rd position. But that's not all. Rucroft is also under threat now from Brum. We saw Brum was having a look at Rucroft a little earlier. So it'll be interesting to see whether Brum has been shaken by his mistakes or whether he just keeps pushing and takes the position. Coming through the final corner, these two seem quite evenly matched. So Janssen, I'm sure, glad to get rid of these drivers ahead. Interesting gap right at the front for the lead as they come through the traffic. This is going to be Hewlett, Morris and Peters, the McLaren, Ferrari and Ferrari respectively. And I think we've caught them at just the right time. Look at how close Morris is to Hewlett as they come through the final section now, through turn 12, that right-hander in turn 13. This is a fight for the podium positions for the Pro class. Oh, and Morris is just inching closer. He's inching closer as they come down the main straight, and you can see Hewlett is trying to throw him off. He's not quite comfortable with Morris being that close as they come into turn 1. Right on the white line there, and this is the closest I've seen Morris now. 0.2 seconds off of Hewlett. Oh, and that is very close racing between these two. Looks like Hewlett's got a better exit, and there's a small respite for Hewlett before the action continues. Morris seems to be putting on some decent pressure. He was 0.2 faster, and his best is, oh my goodness, his best is only 0.07 faster than Hewlett. Oh, and he is right there. He is waiting. He's sniffing once again at the bumper, like we saw some earlier drivers do. Coming through turn 7 now, turn 8. You can see Hewlett already starting to go a little defensive. He's not willing to give up this position just yet. And we are only 17 minutes into the race. And Hewlett is taking a slightly narrower line. Wasn't running out wide as much into turn 11. You can see the cars bouncing now. Meanwhile, a little further back, it's Chard having a look at Peters now. And that gap to Peters behind is quite large, so he doesn't have to fear anything as of yet. But Chard in the black McLaren is also looking to take the final podium spot overall. Peters, meanwhile, in the red Ferrari behind, he's currently leading the Pro-Am class, so there's nothing for him to worry about. But Chard needs to catch up to Morris and Hewlett in order to take a shot at higher podium positions. He is currently on the podium already, but Patrick might be closing that gap at some point. Currently Patrick's best lap time is a 1:32.095. Chard's is a 1:31.9, and we haven't seen too much clear track for these drivers actually. Patrick is closing the gap. He's down to 4 seconds now. And meanwhile, traffic interferes. This is now going to be Ty letting those drivers through. Let's have a look at it from Hewlett's perspective now. And this is one of those situations where Hewlett can feel the pressure, but the driver's just far enough behind to not get past in the next corner if you don't mess up, if you get what I mean. So this is going to be quite an interesting little thing to watch. He's managed to gap Morris by 1 second now, but we've seen how close that gap can get and how quickly that gap can close. Close battle out in P23. It's going to be Rucroft and Mouchard. We've just caught them in time. This is now Mouchard making a move on Rucroft, coming through the right-hander of turn 11. And Rucroft taps him, and that's Mouchard sideways across the track, and he manages to keep it fairly clean. What a save by Mouchard, but Rucroft is probably going to get a chat from the stewards, probably going to get invited up to their little office to have a chat about what just happened. Caught them just in time. Meanwhile, Mouchard now has to defend from Elkins. He's taken a defensive line coming into turn 1. So now it's a question of who gets a better run through turn 2. And Mouchard manages to maintain P24 for the time being. Rucroft with a dirty overtake. And Mouchard drops down the order. Meanwhile, we've just seen a swap for position between Van Onneker and Jordan. Let's have a quick look if we can have a sneak peek into what happened. It's going to be the Mustang on the Ferrari, and the Ferrari is a slightly worse exit. Oh my goodness, and there's all sorts of contact happening ahead. Oh my goodness. And the Ferrari goes off. Interesting sequence of events there. As you can see, one of the drivers peeling off into the pits now. So that's Turner just behind. Potentially a back marker. This is Jordan now, only 0.1 seconds. He's going to be having a look at the Ferrari ahead. Van Onneker. As they come through turn 3 now, up into turn 4. A couple of right-handers. There's a stationary car on track. Car 57 seems to have stopped. And that's going to be Christoph. Car 57 has been involved in a couple incidents. Let's have a quick look at that. This now is Christoph, the driver who we saw the incidents with. He's currently just letting a couple of drivers through. Let's have a quick look at that. This is just him slowly re-emerges, taps mallet, and another driver. Oh, and he claims yet another driver. A fairly disturbing rejoin. Well, there's a huge battle now between Mouchard, Rucroft and Hoban. Two McLarens and the Nissan. The white McLaren's gone off slightly. Is this going to be Rucroft's chance out on the main straight? There doesn't seem to be too much of a difference between the two. Hoban's under threat from Elkins now, actually, in the Porsche. But they all seem fairly equal coming out of the final corner now. Mouchard is looking at making a move on Brum at some point. Mouchard is very much point of interest. He's got Brum ahead. Brum's gone wide. He's down the inside. Is this his opportunity? Through the left-hander kink, into the right-hander. He's on the outside now. The move is not done yet. Through turn 11. It's the right-hander kink. Oh my goodness, and they collide. Double collision between Mouchard and Brum. That means Rucroft Elkins and Huben both, all three of them, get promoted up a couple positions. And it seems as though we cannot get clean overtakes here at Valencia today. Really unfortunate. Let's have a quick look at that bit of action again. That was between 9 and 8. This is now from Broom's perspective. Still side by side. This was amazing racing until they got here. And yeah, Mucho just turns in. Boom, second clash. Really unfortunate stuff then. Just had contact between 73 and 14. This is a back marker incident between Morris and another driver. Let's have a quick look at that as well. Just coming through the right-hander. Doesn't see he's there. And yeah, blue flags. Unfortunately not at the forefront of that driver's mind. We've got some contact between car 777 and 85 now. And these two continue their fight through the right-hander. That's Chard having probably another issue with the back marker. Let's have a quick look at that as well. It's time for the replays, ladies and gents. Just coming out of the pits. Probably, again, Assetto Corsa just not registering the contacts correctly. Duval's dropping. He's in the Honda NSX. He's just conceded a position to bestow in the Porsche. You can see that yellow and red Porsche just ahead. It's a beautiful looking Honda, but unfortunately not the fastest out on grid at the moment. However, there is a very tight gap now between Jordan Hosco and Van Onneker. Hosco in the white Ferrari, Jordan and the yellow Mustang ahead. And Taylor's also, no sorry, Taylor's a little further back. Van Onneker is the Ferrari. And Hosco is dropping slightly. Van Onneker is going to be looking at a potential lunge at some point. The red Ferrari closed that gap slightly, 0.5 now. The slightly closer battle between Taylor Rodriguez and Matthews a little further back. Oh, but Hosco's one wide. Is this Van Onneker's chance now? He didn't manage to take advantage of that, but as they come through turn 12, he is putting pressure on Hosco. So if Hosco manages to keep it together, then we might see a battle for this position down into turn 1. But it is all clean and minimal kind of contact between those drivers. Oh, and Jordan's gone wide. He's also under pressure, even though Hosco isn't that close. As the drivers come in to make their pit stops now. See Van Onneker in the Ferrari in the background. He's under pressure from Turner now. But Turner seems to be a back marker. P27 is Turner. And Van Onneker is just, he's under pressure and he's just not managing to hold it together. At some point Turner's going to come past because he is faster by the looks of things. Coming through the left-hander now of turn 8. And Turner finally gets the move done. Van Onneker concedes the position, but it's not overall track position though. Turner is just trying to unlap himself. So that means Van Onneker now is behind a back marker. And Hosco then has a little bit of space to breathe and just focus on Jordan ahead in the Ford. as we approach the halfway mark for the race. Osco peels off into the pits just as I thought there would be some action there. This is now Matthews and Rodriguez. We just caught the tail end of that interaction as they both come into the pits. No, they both just come past the pits. Let's have a quick look at that again. It's Matthews and Rodriguez. Rodriguez in the McLaren on the white Ferrari. And just a horrible exit, and he just sneaks down the inside. Beautiful move there. Done by the time they hit turn 14. Stunning move there. So yes, all the drivers start coming into the pits now, and the closest gap now is going to be between Chard and Huben. Those two seem to be having a little fun battle, and Chard manages to get ahead. Let's have a quick look at that move again. Coming into the braking zone. And yeah, easy pickings for the pro driver. So then everyone comes into the pits. Everything is temporarily into a state of anarchy. Let's see if we can have a look at some more contact. This is going to be between Verbrew and another driver, an AM driver. Let's have a quick look at this incident. Coming through on a Ferrari, just ahead. Or late braking from Verbrew. Just a little tap, fortunately nothing major. Car 61 and 52 just had a little bump. This is going to be Schubert and probably a driver that's lapping him. Oh, and there's a car stationary at turn 1, car number 6. Who is that? That is going to be Rave. He's currently out on the dirt, as well as car 52. That's Duval off on the gravel as well. 2 cars stationary, and we're getting our first DNFs of the race now. Duval keeps it going, but Wraith, it seems, has opted to leave the server. Let's see whether there is any incidents between car 6 or 52. It's either of the two, really. There is contact between 61 and 52. There's going to be between Duval and another driver. Let's have a quick look at that. He's coming through a little right-hander kink. Oh, and he just spins it and likely... Oh, my goodness. Takes out Schubert in passing. That was quick. The way that car just spun. That was incredible. Let's have a quick look at that in a different angle. I do apologise, this was just such an incredible touch. So coming through the right-hander, misses it, sorry, left-hander. Oh, and he doesn't lock the brakes, and then clips Schubert as a result. And that's how important it is, ladies and gents, to lock your brakes. The moment you spin out or have an incident, it just prevents further chaos from happening. As the final couple drivers come out of the pits now. And a little shake-up in the race order, it seems, unless Morris hasn't pitted yet. So Morris hasn't pitted. So all the drivers at the top are pretty much still running P9 upwards, are the drivers that haven't pitted yet. So then considering they come in, it would be Hewlett, then Chard. Hewlett just made an overtake on Janssen. Let's see if we can have a quick look at what happened there. Coming down the inside, he had plenty of warning, through the left-hander. Simple pickings, easy move for Hewlett. Hewlett then, potentially still our race leader, but of course our top 9 still need to pit. We've just had a move between Alfred and Ty, the 2 Porsches, having a little battle of their own, and they are still fighting. And there's the look by Alfred, but Ty is ahead. He's still having a little battle. Let's see if we can have a quick look at... Oh my goodness, there's Ty going wide, and he's lost it. That's Alfred up into P31. Ty loses it there, unfortunately, for just a second. Let's have a quick look. So this was the move from Ty on the green Porsche. He just has a much better exit. Unfortunately, it cuts off just there before the actual move. So Alfred managing to stay ahead. Now this is going to be Puller looking to make a move. He's an AM driver. BMW on the Porsche. You can see just how late on the brakes he is. Oh, and Alfred's gone wide. Puller's going to have a much better run if he's not hampered by the oversteer, as he was just there a second ago. And he is right on his tail now. 0.2 seconds between 30 and 31st position. Coming into the final corner now. They are very close. There's the move from Puller. Oh my goodness, they've both gone wide. That was quite an interesting synchronization. They both went off at the same time. It's very interesting to watch. Let's have a quick look at that again. Just caught it a little too late. It's a little tricky, the replay stuff. I'm still getting used to it. It has been 3 weeks as well, so I do apologize if I am a bit rusty. But the action just continues. There's a move from Puller on the final corner. Oh, and here's Fox from behind as well. A back marker, seemingly. Was that potentially contact between Fox and the other driver? No, this is between Fox and Ty. Nearest contact we've had is between 77 and 812. That's going to be Dutton and Peters. So currently Peters is leading, but he still needs to pit. Schubert is also in P2. He still needs to pit. So now the question is, where does Morris emerge out of this chaos? He's currently in the pits. Hewlett and Chard are closing the gap. And let's see where he comes out. Does he come out ahead of Chard? Oh, and he's gone slightly wide. That's Brum through a back marker. But Morris does emerge just ahead of Chard. So the standings for the Pro Championship still very much stand as they were previously. Good awareness from Brum there to move over. Meanwhile, this is then going to be Taylor, Rodriguez and Mancha fighting for 15th, 16th and 17th respectively. And this is now Rodriguez with a little run down the inside into the final corner. Is he ahead slightly? And Taylor's taken a wider line, but unfortunately that means his exit is going to be slightly compromised. There's Manship in the background peeling off into the pits, a late pitter, and there is virtually nothing between Chard and Taylor as they come into the first corner. But Rodriguez does manage to stay ahead by the time they get through there. That's Rodriguez then, up into 15th place. Taylor's not quite giving up that position yet. However, I'm seeing a fight potentially for the entire race lead between Verbrew and Livianos. So this is Livianos in the green Aston Martin and Verbrew just ahead. They've both actually pitted, so this is for the potentially the race win. Yes, it is. Peter still needs to pit. Verbrew goes wide. This is for Livianos' chance now. Livianos, sorry, I'm just so excited I get the pronunciation wrong, and he's still not passed. They come through turn 5, and it's still Verbrew ahead. This is an incredible battle now between the two. Verbrew's had a rough exit, but he's defending as hard as he can from Livianos. Oh, and he's got a little bit of drive, Livianos. Livianos, sorry, I keep getting it wrong. I'm just too excited now as I come through the left, then right-hander of 9 and 10. There's a stationary Honda there. That's going to be the Vol. Not sure whether there was an incident, but at the moment we follow Verbrew and Livianos. Coming through the final section is going to be a fast right-hander into a long left-hander, and then a final short left-hander before the long straight. But Livianos maybe doesn't need that much track to make the move done. Here he comes down the inside of Verbrew, coming into the final corner now. And that's Livianos past, but Verbrew is getting the switch back. And that's Verbrew trying to get past, trying to make the lead stick. And they are virtually side by side as they come into turn 1. Verbrew on the inside, Livianos. This is great racing. Livianos forced to go wide. Verbrew also goes slightly wide. Verbrew sticking to the outside line now. That McLaren letting the Aston Martin through, but there's contact. But I believe that is Livianos up into P2 for the class. And if Peters is still in the pits by the time they get there, then that is going to stay as P2. Verbrew then losing out after an incredible battle there with the Aston Martin ahead. Livianos up into P2. Developing battle between Mouchard, Turner and Davies. Mouchard having a run down the main straight now on Turner. There's nothing separating them. Davies in the Mercedes behind. He's just waiting for that gap. He's waiting for an opportunity. And Mouchard gets the move done, but Turner is not happy with that. He's still down the inside coming into turn 2, but he concedes the position. And the positions remain such that Mouchard gets ahead of Turner. But Turner's not completely done with him though. He's right there. He's again, as with all the other drivers, sniffing through the second section, just waiting for a mistake, putting the driver ahead under pressure so that he can make a move down the main straight, maybe get a better exit, or just pull alongside and have the run down into turn 1. This is the closest gap of interest now. 0.5 seconds is Turner to Mouchard, and then 0.9 seconds between Davies and Turner. We're coming through the last section of the track now, through turns 12, 13 and 14. It's half a second now between Turner and Mouchard. The back markers are potentially having an influence on this. You can see Turner having to take a much shallower line through there, and that's going to be Turner actually getting a better run than Mouchard ahead. He's 0.4 seconds off of Mouchard now. So that gap is still very much intact. Oh, and Turner's had a brilliant run through there. He's coming in with speed into turn 2. Taking a slightly wider line, and Mouchard knows he's in trouble. Turner is on a rampage. He's got momentum on his side. And right on the limit, you can see they're treading that white line, as it's incredibly tight between these drivers now. Yes, it's just over half a second between them, and I think that is going to be it between these two for the time being. There's a gap up at the top between Morris and Peters, P2 and P3 overall, but class-wise that's going to be P2 and P1 overall. Peters may be looking to put Morris behind him in order to put a little more distance between Lavagnos and Verbru, but they are quite far behind, so as long as he can manage this gap for the last quarter of the race, then that should be no problem. Obviously, Morris does not want that because he is 4 seconds behind Hewlett. He does not want to have to go through another quote-unquote back marker to catch up to Hewlett. That gap between Mouchard and Turner a little further back is still quite close, 0.3 and 0.4 seconds. Let's have a quick look at some contact. There is some between 115 and 17. This is now between Hosco and an AM driver. Let's have a quick look at that. It's coming through the left-hander. Looks like turn 2. It's right there. Looking to get past, and it might have been just a tiny little tap. Just as he was coming by saying, "Hey, I'm here." And Peters now is very close to the back of Morris. He was 0.2 seconds there for a second. And the field seems to have calmed down now. Morris getting caught up on a back marker. Oh my goodness, and there's contact between all three of them. And Morris gets taken out by a back marker. Does Chard gap him? Does Chard overtake? Yes, he does. Oh my goodness, Morris getting caught up on a back marker. And that is horrifying for Morris. Car 57, whoever that was, I think it might be, it's Christoph. Unfortunately, Christoph taking out one of the race leaders. Unbelievable. Speaking of moves, this is now Fox on Schubert. These two have been fighting each other for the past 45 minutes. They've been really closely matched. Let's have a quick look at that overtake if we can. Here he comes through the left-hander kink, and he just sneaks in his nose. Schubert gives him the space he needs a little gap, and it's a beautiful overtake by Fox to go up into 12th position. Meanwhile, all of that has been happening. Dutton and Jordan seem to be having a little fight. There's Christoph once again getting involved in the back markers. Dutton now down the inside of Jordan, gets the move done by the time they get to the left-hander. And again, just the back markers, unfortunately, just getting involved in these huge battles that they have no place in. Dutton still down the inside of Jordan, coming through the left-hander of turn 8. And Dutton manages to get ahead. Jordan suffering a little bit of oversteer on the exit there. Oh my goodness, and that's Dutton off into the gravel. I cannot believe what just happened. We need to have a look at that whole incident again. Car A12, yeah, that's Dutton losing out. Let's have a look. This might be a slightly longer replay. So there's Dutton going down the inside of Huben. Jordan waiting. He comes around the outside of Huben as well. Dutton then, collides into the back of Christoph. Jordan pulls alongside. Lucky not to be taken out by the errant car 57 of Christoph. And then they're still side by side coming through the left-hander. through a kink. I'm interested to see what happened to Dutton though. He just suddenly span out. Because here he's ahead. He's doing fine. Little wiggle from Davies behind. He comes in. Oh, and the correction just overcorrects it just a little bit. And that setup has his Lexus sliding all over the place. So that's Dutton then down to P10 overall. Dutton sliding with his Lexus across the track in the final stages of the race. Huben has gone into the pits as well. I cannot believe the amount of action we've seen, not only for good overtakes but also the horrendous ones. Let's have a look at Hosko now. He's making a move on Ruycroft. He's had a better exit. Coming out onto the straight by the looks of things. He's taken a very narrow line now. Coming into the first corner. Is he going to be the latest under braking is my question. Yes, he is, and he just sails past into P24. Ruycroft is not happy with that though. He wants to keep it the same order it was before. He takes a slightly narrower line, but Hosko has just got the speed through that first sector. And unfortunately, Ruycroft is unable to regain that position. Just ahead, though, is Manship on Huben now. Huben pitted quite recently. Not sure whether that was for the mandatory pit stop or whether it was an additional pit. Coming now through the final section, turn 8. And Manship is looking for actual class position as well. This is between 22nd and 23rd overall. 420 is currently stationary. We'll find out who that was a second ago. Currently we're keeping an eye on the half-second gap between Huben and Manship. Meanwhile, 420, that is Ty in the Porsche having an issue. No contact, so that must have just been driver error. So unfortunately I don't think we'll have a look at that. Currently we are following Manship and Huben now though. 0.4 seconds between them as they come down the straight. He's trying to grab that slipstream, but it's just a little too far back to make use of it. Huben goes wide though. He's got a great run through there. Down into turn 2 now. Huben defending. Manship round the outside, and Manship goes for the classic switchback. Huben's gone slightly wide through the left-hander now, the little kink, but Huben manages to stay ahead, and you can see the defensive lines that Huben is taking now. Oh, look at how close Manship is. He's just sniffing again. He's right on his bumper, putting on the pressure, piling it on. Will he get a better exit through this next section? Through turn 7 now. Then turn 8. Another left-hander. 0.4 seconds. But meanwhile, Hosko's also getting involved now. Hosko, only 0.2 seconds. There's Hosko making a massive move, and he's collided with Huben. Oh my goodness. Hosko somehow does not keep the brakes applied. Fortunately, it's back to the same order it was before. But oh my goodness, Hosko just absolutely flying through there. Let's have a quick look at the replay. Actually, the gap is quite close now between these two drivers. Okay, now we can have a quick look at that. Oh my goodness. Oh, we've just caught the tail end of that action as Hosko gives back those two positions. So he just went absolutely flying down the inside of Manship straight into Huben. Fortunately, there has been no major change as such as they kind of recover from that incident. This now is still Manship, Hosko and Huben all fighting for P22 overall. Manship looking racy. Hosco kind of waiting for an opportunity, hopefully for a better overtake this time. Looks like Hosco's got a little bit of a run through the left-hander now into turn 8. Hosco takes a look. Manship tries to cover. He's gone wide. And this is Hosco's chance now on the exit. Getting on the power though, Manship stays ahead through the left-hander King, but Hosco's showing he wants to get involved in the fight, even though he isn't in the same class. And Huben then can then just focus on gapping them, but he's not managed to do so in that little altercation there, that little interaction between the two Ferraris. It's still very close. Manship, in fact, has a little bit of a run. He's only 0.3 seconds behind Huben now, using all the track available. And now the question is, does he have a better run out of the exit? And it looks as though Huben's got a better run, in fact. But they are all using the slipstream. In fact, Hosco's looking even closer coming into turn 1. Hosco was having a little look there. Is this Manship's loss now? Hosco took a slightly wider line there, coming into turn 1, and then as he hit the apex, it was all clean. There's Hosco letting the leaders through now. Question is, how will that affect Manship and Huben, who are still very much fighting for position up at the top? Oh, and that's Manship sliding slightly, but in doing so, he lets the leaders through. But ultimately, he's lost out the most. Now Hosco can get involved once again with Manship. Oh, and Manship goes slightly wide after almost hitting the driver ahead. And he's now brought into a fight with Jordan. No, sorry, Jordan is looking to close the gap to Booty ahead, one of the lapped drivers. This is Manship now on Rucroft. Rucroft in the blue McLaren, looking to make a position from that little mistake. Unfortunately, slightly wide, and he loses time. And Fuller's just pitted. Not sure whether that's due to issues. He's pitted 3 times already. Something has gone wrong. Same as Ty, actually. Ty's also just pitted. Ty also for 3 pit stops. So these two must have had a really rough race. This is only the last 4 minutes of the race now. We're coming to the end of an action-packed inaugural race for the series. This is Hosco and Huben and Manship once again. With Rucroft getting involved now as well. Cars 12 and 19 are stationary on the track. That's Booty there. And there's the green Porsche just ahead. Hosco's taking advantage. He's just come down the inside through there. And oh my goodness, it is now just back markers. Oh, what a move from Huben down the inside of Hosco. Manship's also getting in there. Rucroft looking to get involved. And that's just, oh my goodness, a lot has just happened in the last couple of seconds. There's Hosco taking a similar move to just now. He's gotten past Manship. Now he's going to have a run at Huben coming through the last section now. Turn 12, and he's managed to get ahead of both drivers. Oh my goodness, this racing is intense. And Rucroft collects Manship in the background. Half of that little convoy that was battling so hard is suddenly gone. And we have seen too much of that today, ladies and gents. I cannot believe how close that racing was until just a second ago. Really unfortunate for those drivers. Meanwhile, this is going to be a battle between Worth and Davies now for the AM class final podium position. This is going for P3 for that class. Worth looking at potentially his first podium since starting with HSR. He's only managed 2 top 10 finishes, so considering that, and he's fighting for the podium positions, this has been a great race for him. He's currently 2 positions up. Davies 6 positions. Matthews 11 positions. Those are our top 4 positions, except for P1 in terms of who's made positions. It's worth it 0.4 seconds off of Davies, and these two are both quite solid drivers. It's unlikely they're going to make an error and the other driver gaining an advantage just like that. See a Mustang in the background there defending heavily from another driver. Worth is half a second behind Davies now. Just behind them, 3 seconds back, is a battle between Taylor and Mouchard once again. But now they're coming up on traffic. Worth is now really close to the back of Davies as they come up on some back markers now. That BMW looking at the rear of the Mercedes. That Mercedes just launched off the line through there. A little bit of oversteer. Now here's the interesting part. Davies pitted really early, so Davies is on really old tyres. Worth is on fresher tyres, and in fact their last lap times reflect that. Davies with a 136.7, Worth a 135.4, and their best lap times also reflect that.
Man, leader is on the final lap. Give it all you can.
And the final lap has just jumped upon us. At the moment, it's Hewlett currently leading in the Pro Class Championship. He's been waiting for this moment for so long. Topinka last season took away a couple wins from this guy, so he must be absolutely buzzing coming across this final section. Then it's Peters just behind him, half a second in fact. That red Ferrari being that red Ferrari is the Pro-Am lead as well, and then the Am leaders are way behind. Hang on, Matthews dropped, so it's Schubert now who takes the lead of the Am class. I cannot believe it. What has happened to Matthews? Matthews, car 11. There's no incidents recorded, so he must have hit a wall or something, or just pitted for some other errant reason. So now Hewlett is just hoping that the back markers and Peters doesn't do anything stupid as he comes to the final section now, the final right-hander. Coming around the final section, Hewlett's been waiting for this for an entire season. It is finally his time to shine. The checkered flag waves at Valencia. It's Craig Hewlett who wins round 1 of season 3. He's closely followed by Peters in the Pro-Am class. The checkered flag waves a second time for him. Peters wins round 1 as well for his class. And meanwhile, Schubert is just making his way around the track now. He's got a comfortable lead behind the couple Pro and Pro-Am drivers ahead. He's also got a nice gap to the Am drivers behind. So as long as he can keep it nice and safe throughout this last section, he'll be completely fine and take his first race win of the season. And a very slow Fox through there. That was shockingly slow, actually. You can see all the smoke going up already. Coming around the final corner now, Schubert for the first time comes round to take victory. And the checkered flag waves a final time for our Am class winner. Schubert wins round 1 of the Season 3 Championship. And oh my goodness, what an end to the race. We have seen nothing but action all race long. We were going all over the place. It has been intense. And I cannot believe how much contact and also how many brilliant moves we saw during the race. I'm gobsmacked and will have to process that for the next week or so. Join us next week once again here Friday 7 p.m. either on YouTube or Twitch, however you prefer to watch it, and we shall look forward to seeing how the second round of the season pans out. This has been a very, very interesting race. Gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. Os veremos en la próxima semana. Buenas noches. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.